Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. We are continuing part 2 of the secrets of the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the Bismillah, by the Qadi Shaykh Ahmad Sukarij, radiallahu anhu, one of the last judges of Morocco. This is coming from his book Kawkab al-Wahaj, the illuminated star. And in this book, he is going over the aspects of the wird al-lazim. The wird al-lazim, and in the beginning, he talks about the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. For those who are finding benefit in these videos, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel to grow so we could share more English translations of these scholarly works. Shaykh Ahmad Sukarij, this is part 2 of the Bismillah. And he goes through the Bismillah and how and what the grammarians have said about it. He goes next on what the scholars of tafsir have said about it. He also goes into even what the scholars of calligraphy said about it, even the hadiths that are said about it. Each particular science, he goes through all of them with the Bismillah, and we will go through some of those parts. The first part in this video that we are going over of the Bismillah is what the scholars of the exoteric sciences, the scholars of the Zahir have said about the Bismillah, and in particular what the grammarians, the scholars of grammar, have said about the Bismillah. And he begins, the grammarians speak about the Bismillah in terms of its inflection and diction. They say that the ba is propositional particle, and that even though particles should carry a fatha, the Bismillah carries a kasra, the line under the ba. They explain this is because of a grammatical motive, which is that this kind of ba is exclusively used as a prepositional particle. Then they speak on the alif lam of the majestic name Allah, the alif lam, saying that it is a definite article. Whenever there's a alif lam in front of any name, it makes it definite article. They state that the majestic name Allah is the most known of known things, and that the word name ism is attributed to it. Sabawahi was seen in a dream, and one who saw him asked him, well, how did Allah treat you? And he responded, Allah forgave me because I said that the majestic name is the most known of known things. It's the most known of known things, the name Allah. Allah forgave him because of his view on that. And Ibn Jinni mentioned this story in his Khasa'is. Then the grammarians examined the name Ar-Rahman, the Beneficent. They say that there are two opinions about Ar-Rahman. The first is that it is a descriptor. They're saying that it describes something else. The second opinion is that it is a positive. The latter, the second opinion, is preferred opinion as stated by Al-Alam and Ibn Malik and verified by the author of Al-Mughni, while the latter was the stated opinion of Al-Zamakhshari and Ibn Hajar. He's naming different scholars of grammar that said that the name is either a descriptor, Rahman, is referring to something else, or it's a positive, that is originality, and it's not describing something else. The difference of opinion is related to whether Ar-Rahman is an attribute or a name. So is it describing Allah, or is it one of his definite names? If it is an attribute, meaning a descriptor describing Allah, then Ar-Rahim would be a second attribute of the majestic name. And if it is a name, then Ar-Rahim is an attribute of Ar-Rahman and not of the majestic name, since a positive cannot precede a descriptor. Again, just to say that again, He said, if an attribute, if Al-Rahim, if Al-Rahman is an attribute or a name, the difference of opinion is whether Al-Rahman is an attribute or a name. Is it describing Allah or is it a name in itself? And when we get into deeper grammarian of the grammar and the tafsir of the ayah, Ar-Rahman ala arsh istawa, and one of the books, Shaykh Ahmad Tijani is describing Ar-Rahman, and the basis of the tafsir of Ar-Rahman being a attribute describing Allah or one of his essential names. Back to what Shaykh Ahmad Sukarij is saying, the difference of opinion is whether Ar-Rahman is an attribute or a name. If it is an attribute, then Ar-Rahim would be a second attribute of the majestic name. If it is a name, then Ar-Rahim is an attribute of Ar-Rahman and not of Allah, since it is a positive and it cannot precede a descriptor. Regarding Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, there are 9 different possible combinations in terms of diction. He continues on what the people of the morphologists sort of have said about the Basmallah. They speak about the Basmallah in terms of that to which the ba links and whether the sentence is a nominal clause or is it a verbal clause or, according to one opinion, a possessive clause. They also speak about whether it is a complete sentence or a subordinate clause, meaning Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Is it a complete sentence or a clause, a subordinate clause? Can it stand by itself? And whether it is only a nominative sentence, a verbal sentence, or combines elements of both. They also speak about whether it has a role in Arab and whether the separated descriptive clause that it contains is in the place of an accusative adverbial clause. The morphologists begin by saying that the word ism and bismillah, ism is derived from the word samul, which means loftiness. Samul, lofty, high, lofty. That is according to the school of the people of Basra. Their position is strengthened by the existence of the plural and diminutive forms. Or according to the people of Kufa school, the ism is derived from wasama or yasimu or wasman, which is on the pattern of wada. It means a sign. This disagreement has been alluded to by the composer of the following lines. The Basrans derived ism from sama, meaning lofty, while the Kufans derived it from wasama, meaning a sign. And the former is the more correct opinion. Sama, meaning the bism sama is name, it means lofty. Imam Qurtubi said, the result of the difference of opinion is that those who say that ism is derived from samul say that Allah was always existing with his attributes before the existence of created beings, after they came into being and after their extinction. They have no effect on his names and attributes. So Imam Qurtubi is saying the difference of opinion is whether Allah had his name always existing. His attributes were always existing before created beings, after they came into being and after their extinction. For example, Ar-Rahman, meaning mercy. Some schools will say if there's nothing for him to be merciful to, then there was no existence of the name merciful. If there was no one that soul needed to be taken or given death, then it will not exist the name, the one who takes life or gives death. Or al-adl, the justice. If there's no disagreement between creations, then there's no need for anyone to be just. So Qurtubi is saying the difference of opinion is whether these attributes existed before the existence of created beings or after it. And that is the position of Ahlul Sunnah, that Allah always had his names before the existence of created beings. His name did not depend on any created being any disputes in order to be the just one, or anyone who's sinful in order to be the forgiver. It did not go like that way, according to Imam Qurtubi. And the main position of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah is that Allah always had his attributes. As for those who say ism is derived from sima, they say that Allah had no name or attribute in azal, meaning before creation. Then when he brought created beings into existence, they gave him names and attributes, meaning those names then became existence, or Allah named himself these particular names due to there being created beings that will need mercy and that would need justice, or that will have their life taken away from them, or be given life. They're saying this is a minority opinion, and this is the position of the Mu'tazila, which is at odds with that upon which the Ummah has agreed. He continues, then they discuss whether the majestic name is from another word. The preferred position is that it is not. That was the position of Sabawayahi, Al-Khalil, and most theologians and jurists. It is supported by different concepts and proofs, some of which Imam Fakhr al-Razi mentioned in his tafsir. Al-Shabarakati said, Al-Khalil ibn Ahmad was seen after he passed away, and it was said to him, how did Allah treat you? And he replied, Allah forgave me because my statement regarding the majestic name, Allah meaning is not derived from something else. Allah forgave him for that. Or it is derived, which is the opinion of some scholars. However, it is not a strong opinion. The Imam and Noah of Allah, Ibn Marjan, said in his explanation of the most beautiful names of Allah, there is much disagreement on whether the majestic name Allah is derived from another word or not. Some scholars say that it is not, and they have spoken the truth. The names of Allah are not derived from anything else. Rather, other words are derived from them. The meaning mentioned above for the word wallah are from the verb wallahi. Others said that is derived from laha, which means two different things. The first meaning is to veil oneself. Those who state this give as evidence the following stanza. She veiled herself and was not known to come out a single day. If she would only come out so that we would know her. So he's giving different meanings of these words by different verses of poetry that the scholars of Aqidah and Kalam have said regarding it. The second meaning is to manifest and to elevate. And their evidence for this is the words of the poet, we hastily came out lest they hide themselves. Then they say that Ar-Rahman, according to the opinion that it is a description, is derived just like Ar-Rahim. If not, it is not derived, and that is the correct opinion. Including also in what the scholars of the Quranic script, calligraphy, have said about the Bismillah. The experts of the Quranic script discuss the alif of ism. Some say that it was omitted due to the frequent use of the Bismillah. That is why it was not omitted in Iqra Bismi Rabbika, Surah Al-A'la. The alif is there. However, Al-Khalil said the alif was only omitted in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim because it was only used because beginning with an unvocalized sin is not allowed. Then when the ba entered upon the word ism, it substituted the sound of the alif. So they're saying the word ism the name in Arabic is originally ism, alif, sin, mim. And the discussion here is why did the ba replace the alif for bismi in the name of Allah. So this is what the Quranic script, the scholars of this have said about it. When the word ba entered upon the word ism, it substituted the sound of the alif. Thus, it was omitted in the writing. It was only not omitted in his words, Iqra bismi rabbika al-a'la, because the ba does not substitute the alif at this place, as it does in the Bismillah. For it is possible to omit the ba in Iqra bi-ismi rabbika al-a'la and retain the correct meaning. If you were to say Iqra isma rabbika, the meaning would be correct. However, if you were to omit the ba in Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, the meaning will not be preserved. So the difference is clear. They also discuss why the ba is elongated in the Arabic writing. When you see the Bismillah in writing, the ba is usually elongated. And it is said it was in place of the alif. However, that opinion is rejected because replaced is not strengthened by the word that replaces it. Al-Qutubi said the ba was only elongated because they, the scholars of writing, desired to only start the book of Allah with a grand letter. And the ba was given the honor, even though the alif is better, because it is the first letter that the children of Adam spoke in the world. Saying the ba is the first letter that the children of Adam spoke in the world of the spirits on the day that Allah said, Alastu Rabbukum, that Allah said to the children of Adam, Alastu Rabbukum, am I not your Lord? And all of the spirits answered, Bala, meaning yes. And because of this, Allah began the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, with the ba instead of the alif. Also, it is reported from Shaykh al-Islam Ibrahim Niyas and his tafsir that Allah began with the ba because of its humbleness. The ba is humble compared to the alif that stands up and stands alone. So even Allah began the Bismillah due to its humbleness with the ba. It has also been said that the ba was preferred over other letters as an indication that only the humble people can advance towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only the humble people. As is said in the Hadith Qudsi, I am with those who are brokenhearted for my sake. It is also because if someone humble himself before Allah, Allah will raise him up. May Allah bless the Noah of Allah ibn Afreed for his alluding to this meaning in his Ta'iyyah, his poem. If you were to with mean lowered like the dot of the ba, you will be raised to that which cannot attain through effort. And this is the end of this section on what the calligraphers have said about the Bismillah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad al-Fatih lima ughliq wal khatim lima sabaq an-nasir al-haqq bil-haqq wal hadi ila siratik al-mustaqim wa ala alihi haqqa qadrihi wa miqdar al-azim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.